Hey there, folks, and welcome to another Pinal Prep Spotlight. This is officially full-on our playoff mode edition. Real quickly, before we get into our breakdowns, we gotta give you guys notice about some of our games happening early on in the week. All of these games are happening on Wednesday, and we gotta kick things off with our only soccer team pretty much in Pinal County that is still in action, and that is Maricopa. They are moving on to the first round. They will be at Pinnacle. Other games happening Friday. All these games are first round. And Post and Butte girls basketball, they won their play-in game last week. They are hosting Phoenix Thunderbird. And then in 3A basketball, our two girls team, Coolidge and Florence, have also made it. They are in the first round. 3A doesn't have a play-in round, so this is all first round action for them. Both of these teams are away. Coolidge is up in Snowflake, and Florence has a very long trip up to Page, but hey, playoff, who knows what can happen. Hopefully all of these teams move on. We love the craziness as well as you guys. But now getting into our actual not really game of the week, because hey, it's playoffs. We're just going to talk about everybody. Starting off with 3A basketball, it's everybody here. And first of all, number 12 Florence, they are playing in the first round. Our other two teams have a bye, but we'll get into them later. Number 12 Florence will be hosting American Leadership Academy West Foothills. And Florence did a really solid job. Big turnaround for them from last year. They finished with the 12-6 record. David, what can you say about these Gophers?
Well, first of all, just an emphasis on the craziness. It's been a crazy week this last week, and it's going to be even more going this week and next week as well, because we still have a lot of playoff teams that are going for this, and it's exciting. We have a lot of really good Pinal County teams showing what they can do and putting themselves on the map, and it's really awesome to see. So we'll start with Florence. Like I said, Florence has kind of always, like I said, they kind of got things about them this year. I think this is the year that finally things started to come around and things started to kind of develop well for this team. And, it's always kind of been the Brandon Farley show out there in Florence. He's averaged 19.7 points per game this year. He's got one of the best jump shots and one of the best three-point shooters in Pinal County right now. He's just a lockdown shooter, but the big question was always finding players around him, and those players around him are finally starting to build up. Guys like Anthony Burdine, Brian Madden, and Logan Stenson, those are just three of the guys that have been really contributing well for this team and being second, third, and fourth options, because those options are important, especially when, Farley, shooters shoot, and sometimes shooters miss, and if Farley's having a bad game, these three guys are able to kind of contribute well and kind of keep the scoring going, and that's what they've done all year. And, I'm going to expect good things from this team, especially coming off a bye. That bye is going to really do them dividends here, because they get some extra rest, find out who they're going to play, strategize for who they're going to play. And this team has always been great. The battles between them and Coolidge were always fun to watch this year. It was a really solid year for this team, and I really like what they've done so far. So I'm really just kind of looking for how Brandon Farley can elevate both himself and his teammates around him in this after this bye, and they get going on Saturday.
So, correction on David. This is a first-round game. Florence is playing on Thursday. Our two teams getting the bye. That's Coolidge and ALA Ironwood.
Hey, there's a lot of teams to pick out here, okay?
Looking at ALA West Foothills, so many ALAs here. West Foothills, they're the ones playing Florence, and their go-to guy is junior Dayton Foster. He's a 59% shooter. Their leading scorer, averaging nearly 22 points per game, nearly 8 rebounds, 5.6 assists, 8.6 steals. This guy basically does it all for West Foothills, but also some other guys to look out for are Jay Juan Gold. 14.7 points per game, 1.6 rebounds. He's a 52% shooter. And then freshman Traven Hayward, he is shooting 48% from beyond the arc. So these three guys can get it done while, the focus is mostly on Foster. Florence is kind of going to have their hands full on trying to keep all these guys at bay, but I think they can do it. I think they can pull this off and move on to the next round. But like David mentioned, it's all going to come down pretty much to what Brandon Farley can do, because he is the heart and soul of this Gophers team. David, anything else you want to add?
No, just like you said, I think it's time for Brandon Farley to show what he can do and cement himself in these playoffs. But also, it's important for him to look out for his teammates as well, because they can score just as well as he can. It's a team game. You can always have your number one scorer, but you need to have guys around him that are able to pick up that number one scorer if he's not having the best night. So it's going to come down to team basketball, and David Silvas has done a great job with this team, and I'm expecting good things from them. It just depends on what they're expecting this game.
All right, and now transitioning off to our teams that have a bye. Number 7, Ironwood. They finished with a 13-5 record. They will host the winner of number 10, Snowflake, and number 23, Sholo. David, how did this Warriors end up getting a bye?
Well, first of all, we're actually onto the teams with the bye on this one. And, I think Warriors have always been kind of the underrated team in Pinal County. We've always talked about Coolidge because they've been arguably the best team in Pinal County. Florence had a great season as well. But, A-Light Ironwood deserves their flowers as well. This is a really solid team built around some really good guys that both have length and agility to get to their cup and also kind of be that rebounding team as well. They're really strong in rebounding, especially with guys like Corey Wood and Chad Copeland. Those have kind of been the 1-2 punch for this team throughout the year. They're both long. They're both really lanky guys. Corey Wood's averaging 15.7 points per game, and as well as 7.7 rebounds per game. And then same thing with Copeland, just around 10 points per game and 5.3 rebounds per game. And rebounding is so huge at this level to give yourself second chance points, especially on the offensive side. So those two are going to try to get to the cup as much as they can and kind of work out this team. But a guy that also is kind of come into his own in his senior year is Tony Willis. He's averaged 15.4 points per game, and he's kind of been that guard-heavy style that's kind of been able to dish it out but also score well. So this team is loaded with talent, and I'm really excited to see what they can do. I've been a huge fan of them ever since last year when they put up a really gutsy effort against Valley Christian in the opening round last year in the playoffs, and I expect them to at least hopefully get past this first round and kind of move on and try to cement themselves again, because especially this is the year they have a lot of seniors on this team that are going to be going away, and Willis is a senior as well as Corey Wood. So those are two guys that are going to be impactful for this team, and they need to kind of win now, and I hope they can do it. I really like this team, and I think they can have success moving forward.
So my question with LA Ironwood is, how can they handle the playoff pressure, the postseason pressure? Early on in the season, their 5 losses all come to postseason contenders. Pretty much the Christians, all the Christians. Scottsdale Christian, Gilbert Christian, and they've lost twice to the defending champs in Valley Christian and also once to Coolidge. Bright side here is their last 2 losses to Valley Christian and Coolidge. It was by a minimal deficit, just 5 points combined. So they're kind of peaking at the right time. It's just a matter, can they put everything together right now? Depth is also a slight concern for me for this Warriors team. We've seen them all season long. It's basically just been the 5 guys all year long. Who else can step up and make those big shots, take some of the pressure, just spread things around for the Warriors? David, anything else you want to add?
Well, I'm glad you brought up depth because that's a huge point of this team. Like I said, it's Copeland, it's Corey Wood, and it's Tony Willis, and it depends on if those 3 guys can contribute, but also if other teams around them can contribute as well. So these guys have to bring their A game, and if they want to move on, they're going to have to be at the top of their level, and we'll just have to wait and see what happens on Saturday.
And our last team on a bye, our top Pinal County team, number 3, Coolidge. They finished with a 17-1 record. That one loss really bugs us here at Pinal Central. But still, they will play the winner of number 14, Page, and number 19, Blue Ridge. We got to mention this loss. It was a 2-point loss, 53-51 to Ben Franklin just a couple weeks ago. And just, that little mark, it has kept them away from having possibly the perfect season. But moving on, David, what can you say about these Bears?
Yeah, these Bears are, while they're talented, they've also been sometimes confusing this year. There was a weird stretch during the year where they weren't scoring well, and we didn't know what was really happening with this team. And like I said, that loss was kind of a shocker to everybody who we didn't really expect it that much from this team. And this has always been the team that we've kind of looked at as this is a top contending team and very well likely could be in the 3A state championship again this year. So it really comes down to if this team is going to be the team that we know they can be. That weird lull was just a weird time for them, but then I think things kind of got corrected after they had that Valley Christian game. That was a very, a moral win for them, kind of avenging their state championship loss last year. But now it comes down to, can they get it done in the playoffs? Because if you're not bringing your A game in one game, it's gone just like that. So it's going to come down to Braden Gant. Braden Gant is one of the best players in Pinal County, and not just in Pinal County. He's one of the best players in the state, in my opinion. He's really solid. He just is able to do everything so well. But a guy that I really want to look out for is Carlos Coronado. He really came into his own in that Valley Christian game. He was really good from deep. He was also able to dish it out well as the point guard on this team, and he's still young. He's only a sophomore, so he's really playing big minutes for this team at a young level, and it's going to come down to if he is able to shine in the playoffs, because the playoffs are a whole different territory in this in this weird field. So I expect Coolidge to kind of be that top team again, and it's good that they're going to get a bye and get some rest, but it just depends on what kind of Coolidge team we see going forward.
Yeah. We've mentioned it. Head coach Dave Glasgow has mentioned it. Everybody has seen it. I mean, Coolidge has yet to play to their full potential. Will that happen in these playoffs? We really don't know. Like David mentioned, we don't know what Coolidge's team is going to come out here. David mentioned Braden Gann and Carlos Coronado. We got to round out the big three with also mentioning Drew Madrid, who is averaging 12 points per game. He is a 34% three-point shooter. But something different about this Bears team this time around is they have more guys that can come and make an impact off the bench. We know Belklam Namigabe, what he's capable of. Isaiah Slaughter has really been a big factor this year. And then guy I have to point out is transfer Jaquan Jordan. So far, he probably has a little less than half the games that the other guys have played. More than half, 17 games. But still, 8.4 points per game, 7.7 rebounds. He's a 58% shooter. And the rebounds here, this is big for them because while Braden Gann is a big presence inside the post, he can really spread out the floor and shoot that three-pointer. So while you have guys like Slaughter, Namigabe, and Jordan inside the post being able to get those rebounds, it really helps them spread everything out for Braden Gann, Carlos Coronado, and Drew Madrid, who can all shoot from deep. Overall, that does it for our quote-unquote breakdown here of our games happening this weekend. Also have to point out, with all our madness, we also have state wrestling going on. That is Thursday to Friday, so be sure to tune into Pinal Central for all of our craziness in this postseason coverage, and be sure to tune in next week for another episode of Pinal Prep Spotlight.